up, guys? Jared Welch, RacingDudes.com, back with more Kentucky Derby content. And of course, we are on a week that there's no official Kentucky Derby prep race. We are coming off the very impressive Tampa Bay Derby by, who else? Tapit Trice. Tapit Trice winning the Tampa Bay Derby in impressive fashion. I guess you could argue if it was impressive or not based on who he beat, but the way he did it is just created a sensation, a storm of interest on this horse since that win. Obviously, I've been on this horse for months, but seeing him do it in that race and the way he did it obviously adds a ton of intrigue and interest. I think of Zenyatta a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and compare him to Zenyatta, skill wise, but Zenyatta had that style of didn't really get into the race, real early. Kind of, a lot of times looked like she wasn't going to fire, and then here she came. And once she got going, that stride just felt like it got longer and longer. It never really looked like she was going fast. Just the stride was so long, and Tapit Trice has a little bit of that. And obviously, anytime you have a horse coming from last or way out of it and getting up to the wire late, always adds. It's always got that wow factor. It's a little more interesting than just a basic stalking trip or a gate to wire type thing. So. Obviously, the horse has a lot of interest from both the betting public and just the general trying to find that Derby type horse. So, but I'm here. If you're reading the video title, I'm here not necessarily because I believe this horse is a Kentucky Derby lock, but I think he might be a little bit of an underlay. A little bit. I mean, it could be a massive underlay in the Kentucky Derby. And let me be clear. I love this horse. And thankfully we have another race. We have the Bluegrass. If we were going right into the Derby, or if that was the last race into the Derby, you have a lot of question marks of what's it going to be like. We have one more race to go. He gets even better horses this time. See how he does. See if he is a little bit closer this time. See if he breaks better. Things could change dramatically. If he has a somewhat of a stalking trip, not as far back, and then rattles off, rolls away and wins the Bluegrass, then we could be sitting here talking about why he's the horse to beat in the Kentucky Derby. But assuming because he has had trouble, he is slower out of the gate. He can't, he is slow. You watch the Tampa Bay Derby back, he looks like he's not going to fire for like 90% of the race. If he does that again in the Bluegrass, even if he wins, especially if he wins, frankly, he's a huge underlay in the Kentucky Derby. Now let me tell you why. Horses like that don't win the Kentucky Derby. There's a blueprint for these kind of horses, and it's not for the Kentucky Derby, it's for the Belmont. Now, let me start with, there are a few exceptions, right? As recent as last year with Rich Strike. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, we can sit here and try to explain that all we want. Obviously benefited from a massive pace meltdown, got the dream trip. I mean, just could not, the way that Sonny Leon went in, where he went, it could not have worked better. So, props to that. And then, of course, Mind That Bird. I mean, just the rail ride and just unbelievable. Another one you just never can come up with. So, there's obviously exceptions, but more times than not, horses like Tapit Trice don't do well in the Kentucky Derby. Now, again, I'm basing this off of what we saw in his running style, assuming he can't quite, if he is still slower out of the gate. I look back at Mo Donegal. Here's some of the notable Belmont winners who ran in the Kentucky Derby prior and did not run particularly great. Mo Donegal, 2022. Taprit, 2017. Creator, 2016. Destin finished second that year to Creator in the Belmont. He had a tough trip in the Kentucky Derby. Palace Malice, even though he didn't really have a tough trip, if you remember Palace Malice in 2013 when unexplainably went to the lead, got tired late. It was a weird trip just in general. Of course, came back off the pace to win the Belmont Stakes. And then Union Rags in 2012 had a tough trip in the Derby, went on to win the Belmont Stakes. So if you go back and look at all those horses in the running lines in the Kentucky Derby, it's like you see wide, steady, trouble, bumped, squeezed, like all these things, right? Because they're slower, they're back further to the gate. There's 20 or 19 other horses most of the time that they're trying to get around. They have to go wide. Look at Mo Donegal. He had to go a mile wide. All these horses, there's so many things that can come up in the Kentucky Derby. And so, one of my best picks of all time was picking Creator to win the Belmont at 16-1. in 2016. And the reason I did, you go back and watch that Kentucky Derby, that horse got absolutely, Santana murdered that horse in the turn and into the stretch. I mean, it's amazing he didn't fall down. You look and you're like, well, you know he can go longer. You know he's better than that. There was a bunch of value there. I can see the same thing, right? It seems like Tapit Trice will, again, assuming all the things are what we saw last time out, he's going to have a troubled trip. It's just natural that, you know, you're slow out the gate. You're going to have a lot of horses to pass. You're going to have traffic. You're going to have to go wide. You're going to be much the best. Assuming Forte's in the race, tough to run that horse down. I could just envision a trip where it's, you know, he's going to have a hard time winning the race, but he's going to be way too low of odds, especially if he goes and wins the Bluegrass in a similar type of fashion he won the Tampa Bay Derby. So that's why I think he could be a possible huge underlay in the Kentucky Derby, and I partly hope he is, and hope he gets, you know, 5th, 6th, something like that, because then we can bet him back in the Belmont and get a much better value. Listen, he's Tapit, obviously, he's going to go forever. He's out of a Dunkirk mare. Dunkirk finished 2nd in the Belmont Stakes. I just think the Belmont is like, you could put a target. I mean, that's like the perfect race for Tapit Trice, I feel like, the Belmont. And again, like, he's 8-1 on the future wager. He went off it, or he closed at 8-1. His second choice right now. I mean, the steam is so hot for this horse. So we could see what happens. Obviously in the Belmont, and things might change. And, you know, again, we could have a whole different picture depending on what happens in the Bluegrass. But for right now, like, I just think we're looking at a horse who could be a huge, huge underlay in the Kentucky Derby. And that's coming from, you know, I love the horse. I love this horse, and I can't wait to be there at the Bluegrass in person to watch him. But, you know, just his style is tough to win a race like the Kentucky Derby. So let me know your thoughts. I know there's going to be comments here because this is a hot horse and everyone's got an opinion. He's such a hard horse to decipher because you can't quite figure out what he is. If, you know, the buyer didn't come back extremely fast. He's the 88 buyer, but at the same time, he barely ran in the race. He's a tough one. So let me know in the comments below what you think of this horse. What do you think of him being an underlay in the Kentucky Derby? What do you think of his Belmont chances? Make sure you let me know. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Tons and tons of Kentucky Derby content coming your way. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get alerted when we have new videos and when we go live. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.
RacingDudes.com is your home for the best free picks for every race, every track across the country. We're ramping up for the 2023 Kentucky Derby, and we want you to join us in the fun. Subscribe to Racing Dudes YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a single video. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.